Alright, we're going to go over some basics of the spinal cord. Honestly, you can probably just read this and don't need to listen to me drone on, but if you do want to, then let's get started. Well, there's 5 segments of the spine, specifically the cervical, then the thoracic, then the lumbar, sacral, and finally the coccygeal areas, coccygeal segments. And each segment, that was in order, and each segment is responsible for specific parts of the body. And that is outlined by the dermatomes. So this is our segments, another picture of our segments in relation to our head and our butt. And then here are our dermatomes. So you see that the T ones was part of the face. C does like our back of the head, the neck, some of the arms. T is in our thorax basically. So thoracic makes sense. L is pretty much below the waist and all the way down. And then S is our genitals. It's also at the back of our body, the back of our legs. But you don't see that in this picture. And honestly, they might give you dermatomes and tell you C3 is like specifically right at the neck and blah blah blah. I don't think you need to know that. These are the key dermatomes that you need to know that will make your life easier, okay? The ones that I mentioned here. These are also luckily the ones that are really easy to remember. So C4 is right at your clavicle, right here. Very nice and easy. C4 clavicle. 3 to 5 is just useful because it's responsible for innervation of your diaphragm. So C3 to 5 keep the diaphragm alive. So that's our nice little mnemonic that makes it easier. C6 I like to remember just because they like to test you. And I've seen that a couple of times. I don't know why, but you get tested on it. Just remember that C6 includes your thumb. You do a thumbs up, it looks kind of like a 6, especially you do it with your left hand. T4 is at the nipple, right here, nipple line, and that's T4 for teat. If you want to say teat, something like that. Okay. T10 is also easy, belly button. L1 is the inguinal ligament, right here. L1 inguinal ligament. L4 is at the knees, and I really remember that because our reflexes, the L4 is also responsible for, when they hit your knee and your leg kicks out. That's the patellar reflex. That's L4 again, so it's more reinforcement. Speaking of which, we're going to talk about our reflexes right now. These are the deep tendon reflexes. And there's not only the knee one, there's actually a couple other ones that we'd like to test. And these are also very simple because they go up in order. So they go up in number as you go up from the body. So you start at the Achilles, you hit the back of the Achilles, your foot basically goes down like it wants to push on the gas pedal. That's S1. So S1, S2, but the main one is S1. So S1, S2. Patellar reflex is the knee one. It's L3, L4, with L4 being the main nerve. But it's easy. S1, S2, L3, L4. And then your biceps and brachioradialis reflexes. Basically, it causes your arm to flex when you hit them right at the elbow crease, in the inner elbow crease, and a little bit like right on the inner wrist. And that's C5, C6. So 1, 2, S1, S2, L3, L4, C5, C6. Finally, triceps reflex is C7. So very simple. This goes up in order. Finally, there's a couple other ones that I want. I think that it can be helpful to know. The cremasteric reflex. You stroke the inner thigh and the testicle elevates. That's innervated by L1 to L2. Okay. And then the anal wink reflex is the anal sphincter will contract when you stroke the skin around the anus. Okay, that's S3, S4. Again, it's almost easy. It's L1, L2, S3, S4, except for you're going the opposite way. Finally, the additional piece of information is that our spinal cord ends around, this is like, let's say this is L1 to L2. That's where our spinal cord ends. Okay, this is our nice little cord, very solid piece of cord. But then it's going to branch out into a bunch of little nerves. That's called, first it's called the conus medullaris, and then it becomes the cauda equina. Because this branch basically looks like a horsetail, so cauda equina. And the importance of this is you basically want to do a lumbar puncture below the spinal cord, so after the spinal cord ends. So it ends at L1 to L2, so you want to go below that, so you do lumbar punctures between L3 to L5. And our nice little mnemonic is L3 to L5 to keep the spinal cord alive. Okay, I just want to show you, this is a nice little picture on the bottom right that just shows you what we're doing here. You stick a needle all the way into the spinal cord, into this, in that little canal. But when you go below L1, L2, you're really a lot safer. You're not risking hitting that big fat spinal cord. Instead, you have all these little like thin, weak, branchy branches of the conus medullaris, and you're a lot safer of not killing your nerves. Alright, so that's it for our spinal cord basics.